That's right. Welcome, everyone, to the 5,351st meeting of the Rotary Club of San Jose. My name is Sal Pizarro, and I will be your cruise director for the next 12 months. I didn't think about actually having the Love Boat as my theme for the year, but until like 10 minutes ago, but that would have been pretty cool. We could have had some fun with that. I will reveal what we're going to be doing in a little bit, but first, I just want to let you know I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled to see everyone here. I want to thank our board of directors for meeting people in the greeting line. What you should know about them, these are hardworking people who volunteer on our board for 3-year terms. They are the leaders of our club, but more importantly, they're your board. When you have issues or questions, these are the people you should be turning to. These are the people you should be contacting, because they will bring those things up in meetings. We will make change happen when it needs to happen. They are not just there to be shadowy figures making decisions that you aren't part of. They're your representatives of this club. So please get to know them. I hope you're friends with many of them, and if you aren't, get to know them. I'd also like to thank Jay Maduri and Kennedy Jacoby, who's here, for Poorhouse Bistro providing our lunch today. I hope you're enjoying that. Now I have to emphasize, this is a special lunch for today. For 2 days, this is something I've been dreaming about doing since I became president-elect. So next week, we will go back to our lunch from Party Helpers, and we will continue doing that until we get this thing figured out with Signia. But this is a special lunch. This will not be the lunch we have next week. So enjoy it today, have seconds. We've got a buffet. But I'm really thrilled that Jay and Poorhouse Bistro were able to do that. And I hope you are able to visit their new restaurant, the Poorhouse Bistro, when it opens in Little Italy in the coming months. They're still working on that. So yeah, let's chill for that. And will we have beer next week? Again, I'd like to thank Dan Gordon, who we'll be hearing from later, for providing us with some wonderful beer. We will not have beer next week, but you can have your own beer next week, because in addition to the keg of Martzen that Dan brought for us to sample, there are 6-packs for you to take home. So please grab a 6-pack. Anything you don't take, Leslie and I have to take. We'll be having them at board meetings. It's gonna be terrible. So please be sure to grab some. I'd really like to thank Dan for that, and I'll talk about this later, but we're not gonna have beer next week, but we will be having more beer in the future. And I see Alan Kornstein there from Camino, and we'll be talking about that. But I'm going to be talking in a few minutes about what I hope to accomplish in my year. Not a lot of change. When I took over for Lee Weimers back in 2005 at the Mercury News, one of the things that I wanted to emphasize was that I didn't want for Lee's readers to think that they tuned in their favorite country radio station, and the next day it was playing rock and roll, or more importantly for you KRTY fans, Christian rock. I want it to be a smooth transition. So this is going to be a pretty smooth transition from Steve Borkenhagen, who I know is here someplace. Steve Borkenhagen, okay. To me, but one change I did want to make was something that I missed, was having Rotarians, Red Badgers, with the traveling mics. I thought that was a great way to have our Red Badgers introduce themselves, for us to get to know them, and for them to get to know our club members. So right now, I'd like to ask our Red Badgers with the traveling mics to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Pat Fox.
Hi, I'm Pat Lucas, and I am really honored to have the traveling mic privilege in the last few hours of being a Red Badger.
We're trying to catch them as we can.
So I work at the Superior Court and my sponsor is Arthur Weisbrot.
Thank you, Pat. And Mark McKenna.
So, and I'm Mark McKenna, and I'm still a few more hours than that away from not being a Red Badger, but I'm very happy to be the first in the first class cohort of Traveling Mics under Sal's leadership. And my sponsor was Mike Conniff. Is Mike Conniff.
Great. So I know it's been a while since we've done this, but so could visiting Rotarians and yes, please stand up so you can be introduced.
Hi, Sal, President Sal. So nice to hear those wonderful words. Gay Crawford Media Consulting, and I am so happy to introduce, I guess I have two favorite people at the San Jose Mercury, and Linda Zavarro, who's now doing features and food stuff, review of Italy, if you read her wonderful review, also was a bureau chief, and I don't know, you bossed a lot of people at the Merc. Do you want to say something to Sal? Is that okay?
Sure, sure. I let him know this morning I was coming, and I'm not just here to check up on him. But I can, since he'll be busy with the presidency, I can be the designated pesterer at the Mercury News for those of you who need a new one or don't already have my email.
Linda's the direct line to me, so she can get stuff in. Thank you, Linda. Great to have you here.
President Sal, I hope that every week this room is as full as it is today.
I hope so, too.
Absolutely. So I'm James Williams with Opera San Jose. I'd like to introduce my guest today, Tom Nixon, a friend of mine. He's a San Jose native. He lives across the street, so he should definitely be a member of this club. And he's a real estate agent with eXp Realty.
Great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, there we go. I have three guests today. I've got my usual steady Jay Alexander, of course, and I've got two new guests today that I think are going to be joining your Red Badge class, Alan Williams, transportation advocate, and Suzanne Wolf, who's a director level at the City of Fremont. Please welcome.
Alan, Suzanne, great to have you here. Matt.
Good afternoon, President Sal and Rotarians. It is a pleasure to be here with everybody in the house. This is amazing. I'm sure it'll be like this every week. Happy to introduce Sharad Gupta. Sharad owns Your Home Sold Guaranteed. It's a guarantee, a real estate brokerage here in Santa Clara.
Welcome, Sharad.
Hi, President Sal. Raul Labrin, Engineering Consulting. I have with me a colleague from WSP, Sean Pratt. Sean's with our Program Management, Construction Management Division, and he's in town looking at potential projects, including San Jose Airport.
Ooh, great.
Charles Mortimer, real estate broker. I'm from Castro Valley. I'm the past president of the Castro Valley Rotary Club. This is an amazing club. I now have moved from Castro Valley to here and live across the street. So it is absolutely incredible. I can walk across the street every Wednesday. Thank you.
Fantastic. Great to have you here.
Hi, President Sal. I have two guests with me today, John Valente and Alex Rasamny, both commercial lenders, relationship managers at Heritage Bank of Commerce, and hopefully a couple of new members.
Great. Thank you for coming.
Hi, President Sal. I'm Robert Davis, and today I brought Andrew Boyce. He's a Marine, one of my alum, and he now works at the city of San Jose, and he's going to be coming back for his MBA program at San Jose State.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, I know you.
Hello, President Sal.
Hello, First
Looking
Lady
good
Amy.
up there. My name is Amy Pizarro, and my guest today is Mia Pizarro, who is soon to be a professional 8th grader.
Thank you.
Hello, President Sal, Jennifer Simmons, and I'm happy to welcome my parents as my guests today, Terry and Rick Simmons.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming. Hi, Pam.
Hi, President Sal. How are you? So I'm sitting here with the First Lady, and is this the first daughter?
It is the first daughter.
Okay. So what privilege. I'm really privileged to introduce Alan Kornstein, who's with Camino Brewery, and hope to be featured in one of your brewery sessions in a month or two. And the other guest that I have is, you may all recognize him as Kyle Lavaroni, formerly employed by Rotary, and I stole him away. And now he's one of my senior policy aide at the city.
Kyle, great to have you here. And Alan, always good to see you.
President Sal.
Past President
No
Steve.
one in the room is happier that you're president than me. And that's why they all came back. Thank you all for coming back after that very long year. Very kind of all of you. My guest today is Faisal Karimi. Faisal is a journalist from Afghanistan. He was our speaker a few weeks ago and is an incredible story and inspiration to all of us. And I recommend all of you, please get to know Faisal when you have time to do so.
Wonderful to have you here, Faisal.
Hi, President Sal. So I also brought guests with me.
Oh, good.
So my guests are back again, my neighbors, Bill Klaas and Karen McMillan Klaas. They're in the real estate tech industry, and I'm hoping they will become members soon.
Well, we all hope that. Great to have you here.
Hi, President Sal. I'm happy to be here and happy to see you in your first meeting. Brought a guest today. Lam Nguyen is the communications director for my office in the city of San Jose, lifetime San Jose resident.
Great to have you here. Thank you for coming.
President Sal, how nice to see you.
Nice to see you. No,
sorry.
No, you're good.
I thought we were last.
No, you're second to last.
Jamie Bonner, Vice President of Marketing for Salas O'Brien, been with us for 100 years. You'll meet her later, too.
Awesome. Great to have you here. And we've got one more in the back.
Hi, President Sal. I'm Emily Robin. My husband, Matt Robin, and I are Red Badge members as of last month. And you may remember that we run a small farm animal rescue organization in the East Hills of San Jose. So our guest for the Rotary meeting today is our newest rescued resident. His name is Scruffy. He's a 5-year-old dog who has a severe back injury and is post-operative. That's why he's in the wagon. So he's excited to taste the beef drippings in a moment.
Well, welcome, Scruffy. All right, well, it's so great to have everyone here, and those of you who have joined us on Zoom. When I got up here, there was about 26 people. I don't know how many there are right now, but thank you for engaging however you have to right now. So next, the moment you've all been waiting for, I can hear you're calling each other about it too, is what's my theme for the year? Some of you have heard this, I've let it trickle out, but it is going to be let the good times roll. The beer, the New Orleans food, some of you can figure it out. So what does this exactly mean? Well, it means we're going to get back to having some fun here in this club. My overall goal is to get our members and our committees re-engaged with each other, re-engaged with the community. We're going to do that at the meetings, and we're going to do that throughout the year with a number of projects. So at the meetings, what can you expect? Well, I've already told you about Traveling Mike's being back. We're going to have beer, the first meeting of every other month. What are we going to have in between? We're going to have Joseph George is going to be providing wine receptions, as Bert has often done, and we appreciate that. As you heard Jeremy playing today, Jeremy's going to be providing some entertainment. We're going to have other entertainment at meetings from jazz musicians and possibly marching bands to opera and children's musical theater performances. We're looking forward to bringing a lot of that back to re-expose everyone to what our performing arts have to offer in San Jose. And besides the return of the Traveling Mics, we're also going to be doing some occasional fun things that aren't quite baked yet. I'm still working on the formats, but we're going to have a few surprises. Also throughout the year, we're going to do some neat things. Douglas Smith is going to be up to talk to you about firesides. We're bringing those back very soon. We're also going to be, of course, hosting the Large Club Conference in September. Now, this is a conference that is meant for president-elects and executive directors of the biggest clubs in the country. We're going to have about 150 people here in San Jose for this conference. We've asked Rotarians in this club to volunteer. We're going to need a lot of help to get those people around and make sure they're where they need to be. But there's also going to be some points where this club will intersect with the large club conference. You'll be hearing more about this in the coming weeks from our large club conference chairs, Cindy Faulkner and Carl Salas. But that week, we are going to have our meeting instead of on Wednesday, we're going to have it on Monday. I know, very strange, right? Kind of weird. Monday, and it won't be here, but it will be at the Signia by Hilton Hotel, the former Fairmont. That will be part of the conference, but it will also be our club meeting. We will announce the speaker at a later time. We are working on getting someone fabulous for that date, but of course, it'll be treated like a regular meeting, so you're welcome to go. We are also, in a change from tradition, having our barbecue that week on Tuesday evening, and again, instead of Wednesday, and we're having a meeting that week, so all sorts of strangeness. Don't worry, we're going to tell you all about it. So the large club conference attendees will be at our barbecue at History Park to mingle with us, and I expect we're all going to have a great time together, and we'll get to meet Rotarians from around the country. A lot more information about this is going to be coming out in the coming weeks as we get towards September. It's going to be really fun. I'm also in a couple of weeks introducing something new that I'm calling Coffee with Sal. If we can come up with a better name for this, I'm all ears. We might have a little contest to come up with a better name than Coffee with Sal. Well, but it's going to involve coffee. And I'm going to start inviting 10 Rotarians a week to come early on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, sit down at one of these tables with me, and just have some coffee, no agenda. We'll just chat amongst ourselves, talk about whatever you'd like. Any questions about Rotary, any questions about what's going on in the world, you just want to talk with each other, that's great. You're going to get an invitation at some point this year. It's going to be not entirely random, but not by committee or by, age or geography. We're going to try to mix it up a lot. And if you can make it, great. If you can't, you can join us some point later in the year. So look for that in your inbox. When I ask you, I hope you'll join me for some coffee. So we've also got a lot of other fun things going on this year. I mentioned the Large Club Conference. In October, we're going to have the 10th annual Lee Weimer's Emerging Artists Awards. That's going to be at the Hammer Theater Center. So that will be an exciting one. We're in the process of finishing up our applications. So we'll have our selections done next month. I'm really excited about that. That's an amazing thing. I know Steve Borkenhagen, who's already disappeared, oh, there he is, put in a lot of work in establishing that committee, and I'm thrilled to see that we're keeping it going. ELC is returning this year. Isn't that great? We're also working on bringing Fish Day back for our third graders. Our fingers are crossed on that. And of course, I don't think Fun and Friendship knows about this yet, but I want to bring back the Brian Adams Mini Masters this year in the spring. I didn't get to go last year. I want to go this year, so I want to bring that back. And it would be wrong for me not to mention is we're trying to get some stuff done. I want to do a big community project. I've been talking to some Rotarians about what that could be. Obviously, these ideas sometimes come from the committee, so if you have an idea for a project that we can all get together on or a good number of us can work on sometime this year, let me know. But if you're raring to work, we have an opportunity for you. This weekend on the 16th, we need help, volunteers at Gordon House. You'll see flyers on your tables. We're still working on the deck. Anyone who can help out, I know Jen Simmons would appreciate that. It's from 8:30 to 4. Adolfo Gomez from Mezcal is providing lunch for that, so please come out there. I'm going to be out there for part of it, helping put that deck back together because we want to have more events there this year. So as I'm quickly falling behind, I just want to tell you what a great time I had representing our club at the Rose, White, and Blue Parade. I was riding in the car driven by Norm Holberg. It was a lot of fun. Of course, our grand marshals at that parade were Rod Diridon and his wife, Gloria Duffy. Rod, as many of you may have heard, is ailing right now. He got COVID. So he didn't get it there, but he's gotten it since then. And, you know, just best wishes for a recovery for him. We've got some other members who are out right now with COVID, and our fingers are crossed that everything works out. On that, and of course, as you can see, Larry Stone is in there too. So I've got to say Larry Stone because he was going to heckle me. Okay. As I mentioned, the COVID situation, I do want to say we are continuing to follow county guidelines, whatever they are. And as numbers increase, that may change what we do. But if you feel more comfortable wearing a mask in this room, please do so. If you feel more comfortable joining us on Zoom, we understand. So for that reason, we're going to be keeping Zoom as an active, available way to join these meetings for the time being. If that changes, it's going to be a decision made by the board, but we'll keep you updated. But we're not changing it for now. And at this point, I'd like to bring up Carl Salas to talk about our Rotary Fireworks Show, which was a great success, as far as I know. I had a great first day, kind of as president. I went from 24 hours. I was riding in a parade. 24 hours later, I was picking up fireworks debris. So,
and I have a slide of that, Sal. Where's the clicker, Sal? Oh, I know how to do that. Okay. Hey, so Jim Gardner couldn't make it. Jim Gardner has taken over for me. I think some of you know I started the fireworks back in 2014 when I was president. I started it. It was the Rotary Club's gift to the community. We've been doing it ever since then. And Jim took over as chair of the committee, the fireworks committee. And Jamie Bonner here has taken over Mary Ann's role, my wife's role, as kind of the person who handles all of the logistics of the fireworks. So I asked Jamie to come up because I also wanted to be a Rotary member. So, there he is. So at the fire, you know, I've been there a lot of times. I love fireworks. So I was sitting in the meadow and I kept saying, boy, that's sublime. This is sublime. And I'm an engineer, so I don't really understand definitions. I had to look up sublime today before I came to the meeting. This is true. Sublime is of such excellence, grandeur, or beauty as to inspire admiration and awe. The fireworks this year were fabulous. They were just fabulous. First of all, it was sublime. The San Jose Jazz Boom Box was there. The band was great. Elaine Sullivan was in the VIP area there with a couple of us Rotarians, and she said, who are these people? They were great. Sadly, Michelle Acosta couldn't make it at the last minute, and Jamie went running up and said, we're going to have the national anthem, and the band stood up, re-energized their equipment, and it was just a beautiful thing. Then the fireworks came up, and spectacular. I don't know if you know this, but we have the second largest fireworks in the Bay Area. San Francisco is the only larger fireworks display, and that's because they have 2 barges and they have a bay. You know, we have that little field over there. But it was fabulous. I had family and friends in from Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., who had seen the L.A. fireworks and the D.C. fireworks. As you know, they are spectacular. They both said to me different times, I've never been to a fireworks display like this. You're closer, and the crowd is just so sublime. They didn't say sublime, but I was thinking it. So last but not least, so the other thing that was really cool about the fireworks, so we're used to, you know, there's like 10, 15,000 people there right in the field, and we have this cadre of people to clean up the garbage after, so everybody leaves at once. You know, there's all those people, and boom, they're gone. So we have Jamie and me and Sal and Jim, and everybody has their little picker-uppers, and there's no garbage. There was no garbage. It was like, what a statement about, you know, we have our challenges here in San Jose. But I think our gift to the community is just something really special, and I think the community starts to recognize that. So I just want to thank all of you for all these years for supporting the fireworks, and we had another great event, and thank you so much. And thank Jamie.
thank you both. And then I think I'd like to, Doug Smith is going to come up and talk about firesides.
Thank you, President Sal. So the firesides are back. We're going to do the firesides. It's going to be starting on August 21st. For those of you who don't understand the firesides, this is just an opportunity for us to socialize with everybody. And so the firesides are a chance for individual members to host basically a social gathering at their house. So for the week of that, we like to do it one each night. Currently, we have Sean O'Kane's opening up his house. He's going to have a fireside at his house. The Fun and Friendship Committee is going to host a fireside at the Gordon House. So we have 2. So we have a room for 5 more. Anybody who wants to host their own social gathering. It can be a karaoke night. It can be a bingo night. It can be a potluck. You can provide all the foods. It can be as few people or as many people as you want. The whole idea here is for us to socialize and get to know each other, create a camaraderie with fellow members. So if you'd like to host a fireside, you can talk to me, or my contact information will be in the bulletin, the next bulletin coming out. And also coming up, some things to get excited about. We're going to do, the Fun and Friendship Committee is going to host a party bus to the city. We're going to go see the Markarosh Magic Theater in San Francisco with Jay Alexander. We're going to have a downtown scavenger hunt. These are great things to walk around. We'll visit different establishments and learn about history while having fun downtown. Other things, I guess we're going to do the mini masters again. I guess Sal wants his chance to win his own bobblehead of Bryan Adams. And so, yeah, so if anybody would like to also be a member of this committee, we will be meeting every 3rd Wednesday at 11:15 before the main meetings. So anyways, please think about the firesides, open up your house to host, and if not, just attend. Don't be shy and sign up and attend one of the firesides, and let's all develop our camaraderie. Thank you.
And I'm going to try to make as many of those firesides as I can that week. It's going to be a late sleeping week for me, I think. So now it's time to introduce our speaker for today, who is one of my favorite people in San Jose. Seriously, I knew of him before I knew him. He doesn't want to know when I started drinking his beer, but that is Dan Gordon. Dan is a local product. He went to Homestead High in Cupertino, and I'm going to let him tell his story. But when you think of Dan, or at least when I do, I think of garlic fries. I think of great beer. I think of the greatest slogan I've ever heard: "Never trust a skinny brewer." And so, Dan, why don't you come up here and take over?
Thanks, President Sal. It's fun to be here amongst a lot of familiar faces and obviously friends, so I won't have to worry about screwing up too much today and making a fool of myself. But this is me back in the olden days. 1980-81, I was an exchange student in Göttingen. Actually, before that, I forgot to give Sal a complete resume of myself. I'm born in San Jose. Parents moved to Los Altos. That's where I went to school at the UC Berkeley undergrad. While I was and at Homestead High School, by the way, my Rotary connection is I was the founder and president of the Interact Club at Homestead High School. So I'm pretty familiar with Rotary. My dad was a Rotarian in Sunnyvale, and used to go to a lot of the meetings as he was driving along, and I get exposed to it. Also, was one of my first experiences was as a Rotary exchange program for the kids of Rotarians. So I was in Austria for about 2 months while I was in high school, summer between high school and college. It was a great exchange program. I know about the Rotary fellowships and scholarships that go on. So I'm a huge fan of Rotary International and everything it does, and appreciate all the efforts that you do as members of the institution put into such a great philanthropic and service-oriented organization. You all pat yourselves on the back for being Rotarians and for keeping this amazing tradition alive and thriving. But that's what I looked like when I graduated from Cal. I was an exchange student in Göttingen in northern Germany as a junior abroad, and saw you could study brewing engineering at the Technical University of Munich. So I finished up at Cal, applied for the graduate program my senior year, got in, and ended up going to the school with a brewery and a beer garden. It dates back to 1020. It's the oldest brewery in the world, founded by the Weinstefan monks, and it's part of the Technical University of Munich, and I was the first American in about 40 years to do the engineering program. It was the equivalent of going to MIT. It's all engineering. There were 3 breweries on campus at the time, now, and a distillery, and now there's something like 6 one large manufacturing facility, a smaller one, and then there's about 4 pilot breweries where you can do your research and experiments. And there's a lot of hardcore engineering and chemistry and microbiology that goes on in these labs. But that's the view of the beer garden. That was the most important. We used to call it Lecture Hall 19. This is what we walked into. I graduated, finished up my old exams in 88, excuse me, not 87, and Dean Biersch and I partnered, and we found this spot in Palo Alto. And you talk about looking at a blank chalkboard for designing a brewery restaurant. That's pretty blank. There was a roof and 2 sidewalls. And I remember they didn't even have a back wall. And when we went up to the landlord, who was Chop Keenan, and said, "Are you going to give us any money to finish this, make it even a starting point of a building?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll throw in a back wall and a crapper." And that was my experience with a developer. We opened up in '88. You can see a nice old picture there of Dean. I mean, I believe this. I think this is Mercury News. Pretty sure. It's either that or the Palo Alto Times Tribune. That's how old I go back. But there we are, standing on top of the brew kettle, and fond old days. So this is what our focal point was when Dean and I got together. Was we wanted to do, at the time you saw mostly brew pubs, and we wanted to do a brewery restaurant, meaning elevated food. We didn't want to have pub grub, so to speak. We wanted to do German style beers, which that was my brewing background. That's what philosophically the type of beers I wanted to make. Nobody in the industry, even nowadays, less than 5% of the craft breweries in the United States are brewing German style lagers, primarily because it takes a lot longer, and the equipment that you have to use is a little more elaborate and extensive than the typical ale brewery. So we had focused on doing authentic German style beers, upscale interior, eclectic cuisine, like I said. And then both of us had tremendous amount of hands-on experience. I had worked at Anheuser-Busch first as a brewer, and at Spaten, and I worked at Learnboy Consulting while I was in grad school, so I got a lot of hands-on on the brewing side. Dean had worked his way up through the Hilton organization in the food and beverage area, and then the last been at Hornblower Yachts doing catering operations there. So we both had hands-on, and I oversaw the chefs at the same time. I saw Jamie Carpenter in this picture, but that was fun. Then we expanded. Clearly, San Jose was our second stop. I love this space. It was a dream come true. If you recall, back in 1990, downtown San Jose was not exactly a thriving metropolis. When we walked in that beer garden back there that we converted into that beautiful outdoor patio, it was piled high with dirt and hypodermic needles, and the construction with the light rail was occurring at the time. So you really had to be a risk taker and a visionary to understand what the potential for San Jose was in that heyday. I think OJ's, Emil's, obviously Steve's place, Olympia, which was I'd say the most epic contemporary restaurant in San Jose. That was it at the time, right, Steve? I don't think there was much other than that going on. A lot of in-and-out places. Everyone was scared of San Jose, and actually, I don't think we didn't steal Jamie from you, but Jamie had worked for you a few years before. I think he was at another restaurant, so I don't have to worry about getting any knives and daggers thrown at me right now. But we did take quite a bit of risk. We forecasted the San Jose location to come out of the gate doing around $1.2 million a year in sales, which was pretty meager, and it came out of the gate at about 3.5, which is a grand slam. And it was immediately we had to shut down even for about a week to recover on beer production, and the staff was wiped out. So we loved that. Then Honolulu in '93, we did obviously San Francisco before that, and some of these others that you can see, Las Vegas, Tempe, Arizona. We raised money in 1995 to build the brewery and bottling plant in Japantown, where I work out of now, and still slaving away 24/7. But we did expand into another 8 locations with brewery restaurants. So at that point, in 1998, we were up to 13 brewery restaurant locations. The company was doing around $65 million a year. And then all hell broke loose. The state of California changed the laws. It was actually initiated by one of my good friends in the restaurant business, Bob Freeman, who owned California Cafe and it had, I don't know, something close to 90 restaurants, and they wanted to get in the brewery business with a thing called Alcatraz. They changed the laws, limited the number of brewery restaurants you could own in combination, and with it being a beer manufacturer. So we ended up selling all of the restaurants in December of 1999. And here's some of the other places we had opened up, and they were at another level, I'd say, from what we originally did. Very, very high-end and unique and large palatial ones. So our average at that point, we were doing around 5.3 million in sales per location, which is considered a grand slam in the restaurant biz. So this is the brewery down in Japantown. I think you all have driven by it, hopefully. Now that we're out of COVID, well, according to me, we're out of COVID, but I guess the sanitary health department will let us know. But here's a little.
Hi, I'm Dan Gordon, co-founder and beer guy for Gordon Biersch. Let me give you a little history of our company. Team Biersch and I started the company 20 years ago in Palo Alto, California as an upscale brewery restaurant and built a state-of-the-art brewing and bottling facility in San Jose 10 years ago. I completed a 5-year brewing engineering program at the Technical University of Munich in Weihenstephan after graduating from UC Berkeley. I'm here in front of our silos, which hold 65,000 pounds of malt that we source from around the world. Any minute now, a truck could be coming in from Germany. Malt is the creator of the buzz and fizz in beer, meaning the alcohol and carbon dioxide. Malt is made by soaking barley or wheat in water until it sprouts. After it sprouts, it's roasted. This roasting process creates different colors and flavors. Now, hops give beer its bitter flavor. They're cone-like flowers that grow on vines. They contain a little acid in it that creates that bitterness and aroma. The hops that we use are actually sourced from Germany, specifically the Hallertau and Tettnang regions. There are thousands of different yeast strains, and they're incredibly important towards creating different flavors in the finished beer. We actually grow our yeast from a test tube, starting off and going into a little flask, and then actually finishing up in a Carlsberg flask. After that, we go down to our big biological propagators where we actually use the yeast only one time. And here we are in front of the yeast growing machinery, which is called the propagator. We have 2 of them. This little guy here holds about 1,000 liters, whereas the giant one that we use the yeast in just one time holds almost 5,000 liters. It takes a lot of water to make beer. To make great beer, you have to have great water, which requires putting the water through filtration and reverse osmosis. Let me show you how we brew our authentic German-style beers. The malt is ground up and mixed with warm water. This is called the mash. The mash is heated up and the complex starch is naturally converted into simple sugars. The mash is pumped into a sieve-bottom vessel called the Lauterton, and a sweet extract called wort is separated from the malt husks. The wort is pumped into the brew kettle and brought to a boil. This is when the hops are added. After boiling, the wort is pumped into a whirlpool, followed by cooling. The 8-hour-long brewing process is followed by 7 days of fermentation at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and then a lengthy 5 weeks of aging at freezing. During the aging process, the yeast continues to work. First, naturally carbonating the beer, and second, it really smooths out the flavor profiles. After 5 weeks of aging, we go through an extensive filtration process to remove the yeast. After filtration, the beer goes on to bottling. The glass bottles are unpacked, then rinsed, filled, capped. Bottles are labeled and dropped into cases, sealed, palletized, and then stretch wrapped on their way to the cooler. This is the final resting place for our beer. It's kept in our refrigerated warehouse at a brisk 36 degrees, so the beer is always fresh. Even our distributors are required to deliver it and keep it refrigerated door to door, so that's always in pristine condition.
So it's kind of funny because it's 12 years ago since we filmed that one. Now the brewery is 3 times larger. We also have a canning line. And it's what's amazing is the consumer preference now has gone completely away from glass bottles to cans. So we have this monstrous, fantastic bottling line that we use, 1 day a week, and we're running the canning line 4 days, sometimes 5 days a week. So those are the consumer changes that have occurred since we started our company. And as Sal mentioned, my other contribution to society are the garlic fries. There's a video. This
is the story of an American ballpark favorite that actually begins in Germany a few decades ago, as a Bay Area-born beer enthusiast was studying at the Technical University of Munich to become a full-fledged Brewmeister.
It was a late night cramming for exam binge eating session where they actually were consumed for the first time.
And so began the aromatic life of
Garlic fries.
I think after hot dogs, it's the #1 selling food item here at AT&T Park.
the inventor is now best known as the Gordon of Gordon Beer. And Dan Gordon's empire of suds and spuds has been spreading across our great land ever since.
It's unusual that it caught on as the way it did. Starting off at Candlestick with one booth, and going to 2, and then to 3, and then to 5, and then spreading out to Oakland Coliseum, and now we're in 38 venues.
For many fans, this is comfort food.
Because they're fantastic. They're the best fries ever.
That's a must when you come to a game. Garlic fries are the best. That and the cold beer.
While some may wonder why an order doesn't come with some mints.
We always thought it'd be a great cross promotion to hook up with like Breath Assure or Certs.
It's estimated that at each Giants home game, fans munching on garlic fries gobble up 3 tons of potatoes and almost 1,000 pounds of garlic. Vampires, beware.
We have a slurry of chopped garlic and olive oil. And then we use a combination of kosher salt and pepper. And then fresh chopped parsley goes on top. And then we have to do a hand toss.
And according to Dan, they're not only good, but good for you.
There's a lot of benefits we got going on here. One is that we use olive oil and no non-trans fat. So there's no cholesterol involved in any of the fries that we make. That plus when you combine it with our beer, it's a complete and balanced diet.
Reporting for Giants Club.
I'm probably going to get all these health nuts screaming at me and blogging me, and hopefully they have a sense of humor.
I'm Lawrence Scott.
Yeah, I got to do a shout out. That was done by NBC, and I didn't give them any credit in here, so they gave me the video. It aired a bunch of times, and it's a lot of fun working with them. So it segued. The garlic fries had some legs. Costco came to me. I don't know, and it probably was 10 years ago or 11. And so they wanted each division manager gets to suggest an item, and they said, well, let's talk to Gordon Biersch about the garlic fries in the frozen food section. So I worked together with Lamb Lesson. They had developed a stealth fry that was pretty cool. It was basically completely fried through, blanched, fried, triple fried, and then flash frozen. You could actually bake it in an oven, and it came out crisp and delicious. So we combined that with a pouch of Christopher Ranch garlic mixed in with my secret sauce, and which isn't very complex. It's olive oil, salt, and pepper. Wow, isn't that? You now you know the secrets, okay? The ratios and how the fries are cooked and everything are pretty critical. Not easy to replicate. Most people fail at doing it the correct way. But we launched it, and I found out that they sold really well. I mean, we sold like $4 or $5 million worth in the Bay Area in 1 year, but it nearly killed me and my staff trying to manage 2 companies. So we played that out for about 3 years. It went on the shelf in Rayleigh's, Safeway, Nobbsville, and Lucky's, Albertsons, and all that. But it was a fun project, but certainly, and they tasted great, so it made me happy. Going back into beer, which I want to give you a little bit of history on our packaging, because everyone here knows the beers. If you don't, leave now. You don't deserve to be here. And you're San Joseaites, And by the way, now I've come full circle. Born in San Jose, and I think there are about 10 of us that were actually born in San Jose. Whenever you get into a room of people, you find out that everyone is from somewhere else. But I was born in San Jose. Now I live in San Jose, in the Rose Garden. So I've gone full circle, and I don't think I'm ever going to ever leave. This is it. I'll go full through, get buried here too. No, I'll cremate myself, but the ashes can be buried in. So anyway, this is some of the original packaging design. This goes back about 18 years or so. We went for the traditional icons with our logo, and we basically tried to evolve with the time. So the consumer's gotten a little younger and edgier in craft beer. So we went from this design, which we're still using for the A5s, and over to the new design that you'll see there we did 5 years ago. We're probably going to reinvent ourselves again in about 6 years, and the way we'll do it is through an ideation process that I'm going to show you. I'm a big fan of the Stanford Design School and how we go about it. For fun stuff, to try to keep the brand alive and fresh, the things we've done are have as much social media as possible. In this, we did an ad competition a while back. It's kind of kind of neat. We had a lot of really good submittals, I should say, from various graphic design schools and creative video schools around the country that submitted. And it was, I want to show you two of the top ads that came through. Or maybe not.
No way.
Edgy is good. So pretty professional for some student productions. I don't know, Dan, what do you think? Thumbs up from Dan Orloff. And this is the one that won.
Another office birthday party. Whose birthday is it anyway? Peter from accounting?
It's Peter from R&D.
Let's make this interesting. Pierce me.
Hey, may I get yours first?
Great!
I want to get pierced.
Great party, Peter.
Thanks, Tommy.
Anyway, I just thought the quality of the production was what really impressed me the most for these. The creativity was great too, and we got to publish these, and it created some.
Another office.
So on innovation, we subscribe to the Stanford Design School methodology. The company IDEO that did the original packaging for Apple computers was. I can't remember his name now, I'm blanking out. Anyway, he went over to Stanford, created an entire division within mechanical engineering, focusing on ideation and really product development, story building. And we utilized that for a couple things. One was our Wild Side Hard Cider, which is number 4 selling hard cider in the market. You don't really know it's Gordon Biersch, because we went stealth and delineating us on different beverage streams and such. And then we did Tilt IPA, which really, we decided not to launch, even though we did it very shortly, just because the image of IPAs and Gordon Biersch can go hand in hand. And we decided to table this for the future, which could be anytime soon, but we did some preparation on it. But the Stanford Design School methodology creates with story building. As first, you go through an empathy and interviewing process to understand what the possibilities are, what the consumer is going to do. And we obviously went with the trends and then tried to translate it to a story part 2, which is where we would identify a target demo, which is classical marketing. But then instead of doing surveys and going like on a monthly survey or just doing questionnaires, you narrow it down to your target demo, identifying those things. And you go knee deep, extremely deep in the interviewing process to create story building and to get an actual vision that you create from talking to maybe 15 people in a very, very detailed manner and not in a focus group environment. It's one-on-one. And we ended up doing that and came up with Tilt. And Tilt evolved into itself because it had a story where Tilt, at the time, pinball machines were coming back. They're pinball collectors. They're actually bars that focus on pinball machines. So you're able to get an extremely focused element for a product launch, which is, if you try to do a spray, you may only get a 1/4 inch deep into the demographic of who you're trying to pitch to. In this sense, we're able to get completely a mile deep into a shorter bandwidth of a consumer bracket. So that was the idea. We had a lot of pinball bars lined up where we could do the product launch. We have competitions around the world. We created a final design that enabled us to launch with the Tilt branding. And then we even went to the point of creating a story, fake history, I should say, if you've ever seen drug history. This is it. This is one of the episodes we created. We had a feature star that was going to be the spokesperson for the
Blaine Steele, one of pinball's brightest stars, came bursting onto the scene in 1985. Steele dominated the sport from the very start. Suddenly, halfway through the biggest tournament of his life against his longtime rival, Mike Multi-Balls Malone, Steele vanished from the public eye. But tonight, after 30 years of silence, we get to sit down with the man himself.
Blaine Steele, thank you for being here today. You are a living legend in the pinball world, and as a kid growing up in the arcade, a personal hero of mine. What do you have to say to all your fans after all of these years?
Pinball is not the doctrine of how we make ourselves happy, but of how we make ourselves worthy of happiness.
It's really beautiful, Blaine. It's really beautiful.
So these are, we have 12 episodes that are ready to roll when we actually do launch this this item. And if it all works for you, we're partners with a couple companies that you're familiar with. We do the private label production for Costco with the Kirkland brand. And then we have about 12 different items we do for Trader Joe's. So I thought this would be just one. I'm kind of saving for the Trader Joe's lineup, and we can go wild with that. And that would be the fun launch. I think their demo is a perfect hit for this. But every episode of Blaine Steele is just like that. Whoops. This is kind of how we developed the hard cider. We did another unique avenue. This was in conjunction with the techniques of the Stanford Design School. We didn't name it. We just called it, created a website, nonamehardcider.com. We went and did samplings. We handed it out and created a competition for naming. And we developed a sampling database of about 6,000 people through this process. And we did it over about 7 months. And that gave us a critical mass for launching it when we actually did do Wild Side Hard Cider, which is one ingredient, just fresh pressed apples. And this actually branches into the hard cider production for others. And we do 5 hard ciders for Trader Joe's. We co-ventured and launched with Martinelli's to do a hard cider made out of their incredible apple juice. So this is kind of the things that sometimes you create one thing and it'll lead to another and another, and it takes on its own life. So this is, like I said, it's number 4 selling, and we only use one ingredient, fresh pressed apple juice, and have some unique methodology for processing it to be able to enable us to use one ingredient. And that's what it looks like on the shelf. It's in almost every supermarket around the Bay Area. This is a kind of a coincidental salad. Do I have to like 5 more minutes? Or? Can I skip the questions and just do the history of Oktoberfest? Because it's way more interesting than an interaction. You can email me your questions if you have them later on. And then I do have office hours, for my students, 2 hours a week. Actually, I do teach at Berkeley. Professor there, and I don't do office hours. They have to go to my TA and try to figure things out on their own. This appeared in Sports Illustrated. It's actually a photo talking in an article talking about steroid abuse amongst the strongman competitors. But heck, we got a full half-page picture in it in Sports Illustrated. They got the KED rotation perfect on the KED toss. Martinelli's, there you go. I would talk about that. Okay, Oktoberfest. So. This is Duke of Bavaria Wilhelm IV. He's the god of beer in Bavaria. He set the Reinheitsgebot, which is the German purity law, in effect in 1516, meaning you could only brew beer from 4 ingredients. Malt, back then it was actually 3 ingredients: water, malted barley, and hops. They didn't know about yeast because it just fell from the air, spontaneous fermenting the beer. But when Louis Pasteur was able to identify yeast, you enabled us to scientifically cultivate and propagate the yeast in single strain culture, and the quality of beer went up tremendously. This is the royalty impact on brewing. You have Kaltenberg, you have the Hofbräuhaus. Those are all former Bavarian royalties. This is Prince Ludwig of Luitpold of Bavaria. He's still alive, and he owns the Kaltenberg brewery. Actually, my thesis partner runs his brewery in Kaltenberg itself. Here's a couple pics of the original Hofbräuhaus in Munich, and there's a photo on the right of the modern day Hofbräuhaus brewery that's out of town. It's a beautiful facility. One of my classmates, I'm speaking quickly because I'm down to 4 minutes. There's one of my classmates that actually runs the brewery. So the Bavarian brewing world, the international brewing, there's very few of us brewing engineers out there. So almost every major international brewery is run by an alum from Weinstefan, the Technical University of Munich. So we went over and we're very close. So anyway, the royalty breweries in Bavaria are Kaltenberg, the Brauhaus Moy, Brauerei Fürstenberg, Hofbrauhaus Music, and Hofbrau means beer of royalty, by the way, of the royal court. So anytime you hear Hofbrauhaus, it's not actually one place. It just means the brewing location of royalty. And they'll have, the Hofbrauhaus München, the Hofbrauhaus Traunstein, which is another one of the royalty. And the Oktoberfest was actually a wedding reception for King Ludwig I and Princess Theresa, who's from French. It was held in the 1800s, and this is a photo of it. They only have one beer, Märzen, which are going to take home tonight out of the wooden keg. There's horse racing, and there's a 2 to 3 day reception. They invited the entire citizenry of Bavaria to come. It was a very, very poor country, and they looked for any reason to go party and celebrate. So this is it in 1810. It evolved. They kept showing up every year, even though there wasn't supposed to be another wedding reception. So it became an anniversary, and it evolved into modern day Oktoberfest with 11 tents, totaling 100,000 seats. They only serve fest beer. It's a modification of Märzen and export, and only the Munich breweries are allowed to serve their beer there. It accounts for 10% of the entire output of all beer in Bavaria, and it's over basically a 15, 16-day process. So it's 16 days starting on the first Saturday of the last week of September, going through the end of the first week of October. So it technically, it used to be in October originally, but they moved it up because of the weather. So periodic capitalism is it started in September. These are the stats, unreal. Carnival rides, huge area. The amount of liters of beer consumed is incredible. And it's worth, you've got to do it the rite of passage. There's a big parade on the first Sunday. It's amazing to see that. And this is the outfits they all wear. So with that, sorry, no questions, but.
You'll be around, right?
Sure.
You don't have to run off if people want to.
Yeah, I got to go be with the Oompa Loompas making beer though in a few minutes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dan.
My pleasure.
And I want to let you know that we are presenting in your name a donation to the San Jose Jazz Aid Fund.
You guys know I'm a jazz musician, right? So, I am a jazz musician, so that's near and dear to me. And the gang at San Jose Jazz run our music program at the brewery, and I'm forever thankful that we have an amazing jazz festival here in San Jose. And by the way, I'll be playing in a big band at the Hammer Theater, 1 p.m. on Sunday. It's amazing. It's a Grammy Award-winning group. So please check it out.
You get the plug because you brought lots of beer today. So thank you. And next week's program, we are going to have Scott Neese, the outgoing CEO of the San Jose Downtown Association, our member, being interviewed by Larry Stone. So yeah, but we'll keep the good times rolling, okay? I'll see you next week. Thank you for being here.